Let's talk about pain. Hey, I'm Dave Swartz, and welcome back to another episode of Dose of Dave. So, I took a couple weeks off for Christmas and the New Year. However, it wasn't just because of the holidays. I had full on plans to do a Dose of Dave for the end of the year, do a Dose of Dave for the beginning of the new year. However, I was overcome. I was overcome with pain, with fear, anger, lots of anger. And it all kind of resulted in a pretty depressive state. And I had been in that place for the last, I would say about 2 weeks. And I couldn't function like I normally do. Many of you who have gone through these emotions, these strong emotions, even to a point of depression, you find that it's like a heavy cloak. It's like a heavy weight on top of you that prevents you, or at least it feels like is preventing you from really being who you really are. It robs you of your passion. It robs you of your connection to your emotions. You feel quite numb. And you're not really sure why. At least that was my experience. I could possibly, logically come up with some ideas to why I was feeling the way that I was feeling. But there's a lot that we hold on to in our physical bodies from an emotional standpoint that we don't really think about. One of the interesting ideas that I had talked about previously in one of my Dose of Dave episodes was the idea that everything is energy. And it's not just physical things that are energy, it's also intangible things like creativity or thoughts, or in this case, emotions. So emotions, they're energy too. We can hold on to that energy and we can release that energy out into the universe. The ideal, I think, experience for most of us is to feel the sense of love and to express our own feeling of love out into the universe. It's sort of like the natural state, I think, for this energy to flow. However, I think that we oftentimes find ourselves in periods where that energy is reversed, where we experience a lot of pain, either externally or internally, and that is very difficult for us to express out into the universe. We instead prefer to hold on to it, prefer to bury it. It's one of the interesting survival traits of the human mind is it has the unique ability to not deal with these emotions, to actually suppress them and hold that energy in our bodies. And what happens is that manifests into physical ailments, aches and pains, and graduating up to a much larger disease, cancers and so forth. So largely, in my opinion, these types of ailments, these types of physical issues are largely a manifestation of repressed emotions, repressed trauma, repressed pain. And I say that because I've had a lot of experience with it, and I've had lots of visceral personal experience with it lately. So I want to talk about a little bit of that, and I want to talk about what I did to help me, because obviously I'm in a better mood today. And last night was a very difficult night for me, but it was necessary. So let's talk about it. I have now realized that I've been holding on to a lot of pain from my past. And I think part of the process of dealing with that pain and getting it out of me is sharing it. And I did so last night with my partner. And I want to kind of do a similar type thing with you, because I think, again, It's part of it. And I want to show you that in order to deal with your pain, in order to transmute your pain and to release your pain so that it's no longer burdening you and holding you back from becoming who you really are, we have to be vulnerable. We have to be honest and we have to be vulnerable. So what I did is, for weeks and weeks and weeks, I have been feeling, again, like I've just been overcome with this feeling of depression. And so over the course of the last couple of weeks, I've been slowly talking it out, but not really allowing myself, I think, to open up like I needed to get it out. Like I said, we need to become vulnerable in order to connect to our pain, to go through the pain and release the pain so that we no longer are burdened by it. So what I did is I talked it out. I went back as far as I could in my memory bank. And I thought about the memories in my life that have stuck out to me, that were, I shall say, somewhat traumatic. I say somewhat traumatic only because there's a lot of really horrible traumatic experiences that people can have. Seeing people die, being assaulted, those types of things. This isn't anywhere near that. However, it still shapes the human mind, especially at a young age. When I was in 4th grade, I forgot to bring my Valentine's Day card for my pen pal. I know this is it sounds super silly and super kind of adolescent, but this is part of it. So I forgot my Valentine's Day, card for my pen pal in Louisiana. So I was the only one in the whole class who forgot to do it. And it's not that I forgot to do it. I did it. That's the problem. I only just forgot it at home. That was the only mistake that I made, is that I forgot it at home. Because I put lots of time and effort into it. I was actually quite proud of it. But when I didn't have it the next day, my teacher basically told me that I should be ashamed of myself. And I remember distinctly saying back that I am, and I agreed with her. But by doing that, I created that reality. I said, I am ashamed. And what that did is it created a sense of pain and trauma within my heart that disconnected me from who I truly am. Because I said out loud, I spoke the words, and we all remember words are magic. I spoke the words, I am ashamed. And that really stuck with me. To this day, it is still something that I think about and I was very upset about. Then, over the course of many years later, I'm sure I've had all kinds of different experiences. However, they're not as strong as that one, and a more personal one that happened to me in the last several years, about 10 years now. And this is going to be difficult for me to talk about. But again, the whole point of this is to be vulnerable. So I want to show you guys that it takes true, honest vulnerability to be able to deal with your pain. For the last 10 years, I've had a traumatic, horrible, debilitating, physical issue when it comes to my sex life. I have been unable to enjoy a sexual encounter with a woman for over 10 years. And it wasn't because of something wrong with me or something, that I needed medical attention for. It was all in my head. It was all in my head. I went through years and years and years of trying to figure out the problem, trying to solve the problem myself without asking for help. And it resulted in more pain on top of more pain on top of more pain. And for years and years, I held on to that. Not only did I hold on to it, but I was adding to it. I was layering my pain on top of old pain, and I wasn't dealing with it. I was just burying it, hoping that one day I would just find either a magical person or a magical cure or something outside of myself that would save me. But that's not how the world works. Not everyone is going to be saved by someone else. Sometimes you have to look inside and save yourself and figure out how to save yourself. So for years I dealt with that. I had struggled with that. And I held on to that to the point that it completely destroyed the previous relationship that I was in. And my current relationship is only going so well. And I will say my problem has fixed itself. Well, it's resolved because I was honest. I revealed to my current partner in the beginning of our relationship my struggle. And it was personal. It was a moment that I felt very vulnerable. But she listened and she agreed to help me. And that in and of itself was a huge, huge part of the healing process. However, the other part of it is going inside of yourself, connecting to those emotions, connecting to that person that's still inside of you. Because remember, time does not exist. There is only the moment. So you, as you currently are in this moment, watching this video, you are every single version of who you were before, all the way to your birth. That energy, that memory, that pain is still inside of you. As a kid, I broke my body all the time. I've had 3 broken bones, or 3 broken arms, broken legs. I hurt myself all the time. And it taught me to stay away from that stuff. And I never engaged in any kind of, extreme activity after that because I was so afraid of pain. And I came to that realization the other day that I am afraid of pain. I think we all are. Pain is not something that I think anyone in this world truly desires to experience. However, it is nevertheless a part of existence. So last night, after 2 weeks of just a depressive, horrible state of being, I literally felt like I was the Walking Dead. I decided that I wanted to talk it out, but not just talk it out in a traditional way. I wanted to go all the way back to the beginning and try to speak honestly and truthfully, get it out of me, actually speak the words out loud. I think that, you can write it down. I think journaling is great. But I think there is a certain power in speaking the actual words out loud, making them manifest, because that's really what it is. Words are magic because you are putting that intention into that word. That word is being created by your mouth and is being released into the reality around you. That is important to think about because everything is energy, and that is a relationship of energy. So I spoke the words out loud. I talked through everything that I could remember that was a traumatic experience for me in my life. And I had a moment where I could feel the pain coming out. I could feel these emotions that are not very joyful. They feel heavy. They feel unwanted. But I think the really true magic of it is diving deep into that abyss, diving into the void of your pain and forgiving yourself. Because remember, we all are one entity, dissimulated into an infinite existence of individual perspectives. So we all are doing things to just ourselves over and over. And I last night finally allowed myself to be vulnerable. I allowed myself to feel the pain. I, in fact, opened myself up intentionally to feel as much pain as I possibly could, to let it out, to give it life. Because you can only move on from it. You can only get it out and move and get it I'm so tongue twisted because it is such a profound experience. It's a spiritual experience. What happened to me last night, I became a sobbing baby for about 15 to 20 minutes. I sobbed uncontrollably. I wailed as if someone had killed my children. I wailed in pain last night. I remember grabbing my head, I was so immensely overcome with it. But I knew that the only way to deal with it and to get rid of it, to lift the heavy burden of it out of my body, is to experience it, is to dive into it, and to release it. And I did. I finally did. And you know what's really funny? Is that it was hilarious to me. I moved from a state of sobbing, uncontrollable pain into a state of pure and utter joy. And I know I'm going to start kind of tearing up right now because I'm connecting to those emotions as I speak the words. They have energy, remember. So I started just laughing. I hysterically laughed after I was done. It was, I think in a way for me, it was a little scary, but I knew it was a natural process. So I just went with it. And I can only imagine what my partner was thinking at the time. To experience someone who's just uncontrollably wailing, sad, in pain, and then transition within a few moments to just pure joy and uncontrollable laughter. I heard many times before in my spiritual research about being so elated at the idea of pain that you can't do anything but just laugh. And in that moment, I remembered why I did this to myself. Because I did this to myself. We all do it to ourselves. No one is doing anything to you. It is for you, to help you, to grow, to connect to who you really are. I did this to myself. I created this life. We all create our own lives. We know exactly why we're coming here and what lessons we're here to learn. And a lesson that I learned last night was that pain can be just as amazing and transformative in your life as love. And it's very difficult, I think, for anyone who hasn't experienced what I experienced last night to intellectually grasp that. The brain has a very limited capacity. The heart is where we truly know who we are. The brain only intellectually thinks it knows who we are, but the heart knows who we truly are. Beyond all of that stuff that we put out there to the world that we think protects us and makes us feel safe. Pain does not make you feel safe. Holding on to pain is not going to make your life more comfortable. The only thing that will make you feel better is to deal with your pain. to give it life, to accept it as part of you, and to forgive it. Forgive yourself for all the pain that you've caused yourself. Because we all deserve to move on from our pain, to not hold on to it any longer, to feel great. After I was done, I can't tell you how good I felt. I felt amazing. And it wasn't just because I had a cathartic experience. I physically felt lighter. I could feel a buzzing electric energy from my toes to my head. I felt as if I was radiating light, because I was. If you are trapped in a cycle of pain, your thoughts are also trapped in a cycle of pain, and those thoughts manifest your reality. So if you're sick and tired of your pain, of it continuously erupting in your life, maybe it's time to allow it to fully erupt. Let that volcano blast all that it has inside of it out. Because when you do that, then you allow room and space for yourself, your true self, to emerge and to connect to who that is. Because your true self, it's not pain, it's love. All right, guys, I think that's all I got for today. But I really, truly wanted to explain my experience with this because I think we could all benefit from it. It's a really horrible experience before you go through it and while you're in it. But I can tell you with personal experience that on the other side, you find some pretty amazing things. You find strength you didn't know you had. I remember doing this to myself because in that moment, I connected to it. In that moment, I remember saying, I'm a son of a bitch, because I did this to myself. Before I came here, before I incarnated into this body, I knew exactly what my life was going to be like. We all do. Remember, time doesn't exist. Time is a construct of our existence here. So the spirit that is inside of me knows exactly why it chose this life, why it chose to experience those things in my past. It may not have felt very fair. It may not have felt good. But now I know how to deal with my pain. And I hope this will help you to deal with yours. Because I am eternally grateful for that gift that I've given myself. And I want you to be grateful for it too, because you have the capability of doing it for yourself. All right. Again, that's all I got for today. To me, this experience has been just life-changing and transformative and exciting. So I tend to talk a lot when I'm excited. Anyway, you guys can check me out on my social media. Dave Swartz Art is my handle. On Facebook, Twitter, Insta, and here on YouTube. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please hit that subscribe so that you can, get more of these Dose or Day videos. And if anybody wants to, just talk to me about your pain, if you want to, have someone listen to you, I'm always here. I'm not going to judge anyone. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I only want to offer you my experience because it has helped me, and I only want to help heal you. So if you're in a rough spot and you want someone to talk to, send me a message, comment down below, whatever you want to do or feels right to you. But I think we should all be able to show up for one another, because man, do I know what it's like to feel like you're all alone in the world. So, all right, guys. As always, I'm going to do a little bit of dancing, and hope that, that will help you to, shake off a little bit of that negative energy. I know for me, I definitely am going to need a little bit of that extra dancing this week for sure, after what I've been through. So thank you guys so much for watching, and let's shake it off.